For the first time in state history, Connecticut could pass legislation that would regulate homeschooling. The state house passed a bill that would significantly change how parents and guardians withdraw their child from school to homeschool. It still needs to pass the Senate. But tonight, Fox 61's Annette Montgomery is sharing why two state agencies say this proposal is not feasible.
Take a look. Under the proposal, parents would have to go in person to their child's school and file an intent to withdraw. Then within 2 days, a check would be run through DCF databases, including the Child Abuse Registry, to see if there are any open cases, and if there are, they cannot withdraw their child. Connecticut has seen it time and time again.
DCF investigated the circumstances leading to his death and found no evidence that either child was being homeschooled.
And for years, advocates like Sarah Egan have pushed for change and called for safeguards to protect the state's most vulnerable children.
Not to take away parents' right to homeschool, because we want to preserve that, of course, but to make sure that it's not being used in false ways that allow for children to be harmed. So getting some procedure in place, some safety net in place to help kids like Mimi Torres and other children who have suffered in this way, I think is a really important step forward.
Now, following a series of high-profile cases, Egan and others are raising questions about the role of state agencies and their involvement in this conversation.
You know, I was surprised not to have the State Department of Education or the Department of Children and Families come and testify in person on the homeschool bill and weigh in on their respective analyses of what children need.
While neither agency testified about the bill in person, they made their positions on the legislation clear in writing. In letters to lawmakers, both the State Department of Children and Families and the State Department of Education say without additional staff and/or funding, this bill is not feasible. DCF Commissioner Susan Hamilton points to the part of the bill that says within 2 business days of a parent trying to withdraw their child, the commissioner of DCF must conduct a review and notify the Board of Education if the parent is the subject of an order for protective supervision. Hamilton says that would require additional staff to conduct reviews and adds that 1,500 to 2,000 students are withdrawn from public school every year, and that influx of notices would be impossible to process at current staffing levels. The State Department of Education is raising similar concerns. Commissioner Charlene M. Russell Tucker says districts would need significant staffing to track new requirements, including collecting equivalent instruction forms. She estimates system updates would cost about $150,000, with an additional $400,000 a year for continued guidance and support, funding that she says is currently, quote, not included in the governor's proposal. She also warns parts of the bill could create legal risk for school districts, including provisions that allow homeschool students to take classes in public schools. And when it comes to including homeschool children in the state's ECS funding formula, she calls it, quote, not feasible, and says it would require a, quote, unbudgeted investment. One major concern homeschool families and legislators brought up is the DCF provision and whether it would potentially pull a family into the agency's orbit or open a case. State Representative Jennifer Leeper clarified this database check by DCF is the same one currently used by schools to conduct background checks on employees, and said it would not open a case with the agency. In studio, Annette Montgomery, Fox 61.